Shalom, shalom.
So
First and foremost, before we get started with this lesson, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught us his truth and rule well. Peace and blessings unto the hopeful elect, pushing his word throughout the four corners of the earth in truth, righteousness, and sincerity. To you we say shalom.
Shalom.
So I just titled this lesson up Amos 8 and 11, which I'm just gonna get this pulled up real quick. Amos chapter 8, verse 11, going into the famine of the word. It says, "Behold, the days come," said the Lord power, "that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai." So right here is a prophecy that's going to be taking place, especially now that we're coming to the end, now that Jake is waking up, the doors of mercy are coming to a close, right? And we see this through the time that we're living in. Closer and closer, we're seeing uh, whatever was written in the scriptures to tell us of these times, of these end times, is coming to pass, right? And one of them is being the famine of the word, the shutting down of truth, right? The attack on the prophets. All these things is going to start uh, uh, coming into play, and we see this according to the news that we're going to bring out. We have a couple articles we want to bring out, and through these news, through the news, that's how we able to measure the times that we're living in, right? But you have anything,
Nah,
Con?
we go to the article.
I just want to get something real quick. This is Matthew chapter 4 and verse 4. Because even though we're getting nourishment, like when you talk about nourishment, right? You talk about food, but this this word is our spiritual food, right? This is our spiritual nourishment, which is going to build us up in these times that we're coming into. Like the scripture says, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, right? So the wisdom and knowledge of these scriptures is what's going to uh, pretty much it has nourished us, right? To the point where in that time that we're coming into, where we're going to need all that reinforcement, reinforcement that we essentially going to have to need in that time, right? Which is going to be the stability in the scriptures. But this is Matthew 4 and 4. But he answered and said, "It is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Most High." You see, so that's how we're being fed, right? Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, to this word, this understanding of the scriptures, right? Which is ultimately reinforcing, our spirit, reinforcing our mind, and preparing us for the times that's approaching. Unlike a lot of people who ain't getting ready, if you're not getting that proper nourishment, you're gonna be weak in those times, which according to that saying in the world, only the strong survive. Only the strongest spirit are going to make it through those times. So,
Can I get one? Can we get a Job
Khan,
23 and 12?
This is the book of Job, chapter 23 and verse 12. It says, "Neither have I gone back from the commandment of his lips. I have esteemed the words of his mouth more than my necessary food."
Pretty much like you was going into. This word is all we need. Going into
Hmm.
Proverbs 3, I believe it's verse 15. The word is compared to more than rubies.
Mm,
Because wisdom and knowledge, like you said, is going to be the stability of the times that we in and the times of Jacob's trouble. You know, that's what ultimately keeps us stable.
that's right. John 6 and 63. It is a spirit that quickeneth, but the flesh profiteth nothing.
Hmm.
Everybody's out here trying to focus on the carnal side of things, on the physical aspect of it, but not focus on the spiritual aspect of it, which is going to get a lot of people, get caught out here, lacking, right? Because the Most High is bringing that judgment, and if you're lacking in certain things, especially in the spirit, you ain't gonna make it in those times. There's a refining process that's going to be taking place to weed out uh, 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 pretty much, it says in the scriptures, weed out the chaff, right? All the dross, all the unusefulness, and that mainly being 2/3 of our nation. But I want to get this article that we were going into. Uh, it says New York Times, AT&T says service is restored after widespread cellular outage. Right. So this is another sign of them. Uh, what's it called? Predictive programming. Right.
Hmm.
A way for them to put in the minds of people that this can happen. Cellular outage. Not being able to call 911 or any of these emergency responses in order to help you uh, um, when the grid shuts down, right? When all hell breaks loose, because all this is going to happen anyway. The scriptures tell us that all these things is going to take place. You're going to see martial law, lockdowns, and they're going to have to do away with the word, and one of that, and what is a major means that the word is going out through the internet, right? And a lot of people now use cell phones to go to the internet, go through YouTube, and all these things. So whenever it comes to the word side of this thing, the truth aspect of it, you ain't gonna be able to find videos or find answers to your current problems, right? And as a matter of fact, if I may go back to Amos, Amos 8:12, it says, this is once the famine of the word hits in, right? It says, and they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east. They shall run to and fro to seek the word of Yahweh, and shall not find it. So a lot of people in those times, they're going to be looking for answers. They're going to be looking for, especially the prophets. Of course, they're going to be trying to find, trying to dial 911, trying to find help by any means, But this is mainly talking about, again, the word. People ain't going to find the answers to their problems. People going to remember the prophets out there on the highways and byways, and they're going to go to the scriptures to try to find the answers. They're not going to have, the teachers out there. They're not going to have truth or the breakdown of the truth uh, uh, as accessible to them as it once had it. But it says, I think that was it on that. Yeah, I think I read it out. I'm gonna go back. Going back to the article, it says AT&T says service is restored after widespread cellular outage. It says White House officials have said that the incident was under investigation, but it did not appear to be a cyber attack. So that's another thing, cyber attacks, right? They like to blame also cyber attacks, even though they're not saying this is a cyber attack. We've been hearing a lot of cyber attack talk. Again, going back into them having to uh, either shut down the internet or have more control over the internet and access on the internet, right? But it says Verizon and T-Mobile said their networks were operating normally. So it says, I'm just going to read a couple paragraphs. It says the AT&T said on Thursday that it had fully restored services to its wireless network after a widespread outage temporarily cut off connections for users across the United States for many hours, the cause of which was still under investigation. The outage, which affected people in cities including Atlanta, Los Angeles, and New York, was reported around 3:30 a.m. Eastern Time, according to the downdetector.com, which tracks user reports of telecommunication and internet disruptions. At its peak, the site was listed around 70,000 reports of disrupted service for the wireless carrier. Multiple government agencies said they were looking into the incident, although the Biden administration told reporters that AT&T said there was no reason to think it was a cyber attack.
But she kind of like trying to coddle the people, And
Hmm.
then also it's like it serves as another like you said, a test run, because it's not the first time this has happened. Like in the last 3 years, it's been a couple things. Like first they had like Instagram go out, and like Twitter, Facebook. Those things went out for a couple hours though. I think it was probably like almost a whole day, and people was tripping out.
Gone, gone. That reminds me of this precept. Let me see. Slovakia, peace and safety. Right here. This is First Thessalonians 5:3. It says, "For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape."
So
Right.
pretty much Esau been doing like little test runs, which he's
Mm-hmm.
doing on the left hand side, you see. But it's going to become a point in time where Esau is promising peace and safety,
Mm-hmm.
but then the sudden destruction is going to sweep these people away, you know, like because the scriptures say that he's going to seek to the idols and to the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and to the wizards, roughly paraphrasing. So the witchcraft is starting to wane, So eventually, it's gonna come to where these people just meet sudden destruction, you know.
Gone. Gone. Yes, because every time you hear these things, they always fix it up. They always patch it up. So this could be a thing that, like, once all hell breaks loose, hey, Esau can be like, we're working on a solution, blase blase, and you gotta bear with us and or take certain steps. Like eventually, they're gonna implement the MOTB as a solution to the problems that's taking place. You know, and people gonna latch onto that. But this is Isaiah 31. Get this real quick. Isaiah 31 and verse 3. It says, "Now the Egyptians are men and not God, and their horses flesh and not spirit. When Yahweh shall stretch out his hand, both he that helpeth shall fall, and he that is hoping shall fall down, and they shall all fail together." So Esau's help ain't going to help you at all, regardless. Anyway, the Most High has said it to where this place is going to fall by nuclear destruction, and hey, in the time of Jacob's trouble, you know, like it says in Ecclesiastes in Sirach 40:10 or 40:8, right? All these things were created for the wicked. So the Most High has set up certain people to die in these times that we're coming into. Those that are unbelievers, those that who refuse this word primarily. But any people leaning upon the reliance upon government, upon Esau's system, hey, they're gonna fall. They're gonna be, as the scripture says, uh, the trust in the shadow of Egypt shall be their confusion,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're gonna be, what's that word? Um, Confounded. They're not gonna know what to do. There's gonna be no answers, no solutions for their problems, at least in the matter that they're going to try to approach it, which is gonna be again to that carnal aspect, not knowing that you Jakes, your solution is leaning upon you. How about Shemi Hawashah, right? Leaning more into the spirit. Let's see. I think that's it on that article. I'm gonna go ahead and go into this next one, which touches into uh, EMPs, which again going into power outage, going into these services and uh, information, the easy access of information to be lessened. But it says, this is from CNBC.com. It says, what are space nukes? The indiscriminate satellite weapon raising tensions between Washington and Moscow.
I get a definition for EMP.
Con, you got it up.
It says electro. So it says electromagnetic pulse, also referred to as a transient electromagnetic disturbance, is a brief burst of electromagnetic energy. The origin of EMP can be natural or artificial and can occur as an electromagnetic field, as an electric field, as a magnetic field, or a conducted electric current. So we live into the time where pretty much, they did, I think it was called the third industrial age, to where like stuff was like switching over to like digital, but it's
Hmm.
gonna be more digital in the fourth industrial what do they call it, revolution,
Yeah,
fourth
Industrial Revolution.
revolution or something like that. But
Con.
everything is pretty much digital and electronic now. So things either get like a natural EMP attack, because the infrastructure of this place of America, Babylon the Great, specifically, is terrible, or artificial. One of the other
Right.
countries pretty much taking down the grid. You know.
Hmm. Yeah, I was reading an article as well going into that, how the infrastructure here in America is so weak, especially after that incident in Houston, I believe, last
Hmm.
year with the winter storm. Talking about how a lot of their systems is so out of date that if some kind of catastrophe were to happen, or even an EMP attack, it would take years in order for systems to be back online, because they would have to manually go in individually in each one of these towns and fix everything. Like it's just too much. It's too much work, too much money. So let's believe an EMP strike does happen. All you people are shit out of luck. You ain't gonna have your services, your lights, your cell phones. You ain't gonna have certain conveniences that's offered to you through the access of energy. Light, electricity.
Mm-hmm.
So that's gonna be another thing that's gonna wipe out a lot of people in these times, which is important again to lean more upon the spirit. You know. But let's see. Let me read a little bit more into that. Um, it says a fresh spat between Washington and Moscow has raised alarm about the potential risk of a space-based nuclear satellite attack, which could cause chaos in critical communication systems on Earth. Russia denied U.S. claims that it was developing a space-based anti-satellite nuclear weapon, with President Vladimir Putin saying Tuesday that the Kremlin was categorically against the deployment of nuclear weapons in space and accusing the White House of scaring lawmakers into passing a new aid package for Ukraine, which we know, a lot of what Esau does in the news, is scare tactics to try to, get or what you call propaganda, right, to try to rouse up the people to, back them or back America up. But it says, continuing on, it comes after a Reuters report emerged earlier Tuesday, citing one source that said the U.S. believes Moscow is developing a space nuke whose detonation could knock out the satellites underpinning critical U.S. infrastructures, including military communication and mobile phone services.
Mm-hmm.
CNBC could not independently verify the report. It says alarm bells around Russia's nuclear advancement were first
If I could
raised
make a
last.
point too,
Con,
the scriptures say, can I get this real fast? This is a
you got it, man.
Jeremiah, huh?
You got it.
God, this is Jeremiah, Aramia chapter 50 and verse 37. It says, a sword is upon their houses and upon their chariots and upon the mingled people that are in the midst of her, and they shall become as women. A sword is upon her treasures, and they shall be robbed. Which, going into the part where it says, they shall be as women, the teeth of this man is his strength, going into
Mm-hmm.
his military. So if the military isn't able to communicate, pretty much is going to be weak, become as women,
Mm-hmm.
because women is like the weaker vessel, and being that they can't recruit, they can't retain, they don't really have funds for training. That communication part is very imperative as well. So it's going to lead forth to more weakening of the military.
Con, that's right. Those communication branches is pretty much essential in order. It's just like making a chess move.
Mm-hmm.
If you cut off the person that's giving out the directions, the pretty much the rest of the body. You figure as a body, you cut off the connection, the body doesn't work properly. Just adding to your point, what it says, alarm bells around Russia's nuclear advancements were first raised last week when U.S. House Intelligence Committee Chairman Mike Turner warned off a serious national security threat related to Russian capabilities in space. So it's just going into a little bit more than that, going into nuclear threat, EMP. Pretty much a nuke can cause uh, uh, a nuke detonated in space is, I forgot what it does. It sends out some kind of electric pulse that pretty much knocks out any electricity in the vicinity.
Mm-hmm.
So that would setting off a nuke in outer space, is what they're worried about, which can definitely take down, you know, America infrastructural wise as far as the technology and internet. But I got another precept. Let me see. I'm gonna get, I believe it's Isaiah. Salakia. Yeah, Isaiah 30. Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 7, it says, "For the Egyptians shall help in vain and to no purpose. I have cried concerning this, their strength is to sit still." In that time, they're not going to help y'all, Jakes. Whenever EMP, does get, sent off or launched into outer space and activated or whatever, right? All y'all Jakes being in these lower communities, pretty much have no support at all. All y'all Jakes, y'all gonna be left on y'all's own, man. Y'all gonna have to figure this shit out on your own. That's pretty much Esau's mind to it, right? So don't expect help from Esau, man. Like we read earlier, you know, uh, he that helpeth and he that is hoping, hope or helped, Salakia, uh, will both fall. So the only way for you to escape, or be able to withstand, what's coming is definitely to lean upon the Lord. But I got this other article, last article. It says conspiracy theorists threaten mainstream media. It says Canadian PM. So this is another thing. Them pretty much putting the blame on sea theorists, right? Or anybody else that has a different uh, perspective on things, right? They're calling these people sea theorists. Calling us uh, what's it called? Uh, well, he's telling us that we were pretty much giving out misinformation, right? And this is something that Esau is trying to, put a halt on. Which there is false information going around, but that's just Esau's people putting out that fake information, causing that order out of chaos, right? Uh, order out of chaos. But
He's
Shalaki, you got it.
nah, my bad.
Now I was just saying, they're putting uh, all this other shit in the mix, pretty much, to cause confusion, and then so they can put a crackdown on it. Eventually, come to uh, Congress or whatever, right, and create laws against, false information. There was even an article I read before. I think it was like a year ago, saying that a lot of these people that's against the sea, the pretty much the venom, right, that they injected in people. If you're against that, you're pretty much causing a lot of people to die. You know, causing old people uh, uh, in one of these fucking homes, whatever the fuck they call them, right, retirement homes, to end up dying.
Mhm.
But this is just a ploy in order to, get the nation behind its back to back them up. Be like, oh, okay, these people are bad for the community. These people are bad for society. They got to be done away with, or something has to be done to these people, which is exactly what this is all leading up to. What are you gonna
Right.
say, Ak?
Scripture said this man's a master at witchcraft, and that's not my witchcraft because it says conspiracy theorists threaten mainstream media, says Canadian Prime Minister, which um, pretty much Esau has an agenda, and if you go against that agenda, he'll put a label on individuals as such, and anything
Mhm.
that's associated with that, he already has it's like a buzzword, and then he puts different things with it, which they don't really pay attention to the stuff that is it written about, so-called sea theorists. But then there'll be like another buzzword, and then it's like, okay, they're radical, and then
Right.
maybe people feel a certain kind of way. I got a precept though.
Con.
It's I am watching Amos chapter 5 verse 10. It says they hate him that rebuketh in the gate, and they abhor him that speaketh uprightly. You see, because essentially, so-called sea theorists, specifically, they're the prophets. You see, but then you also got these Edomite truthers that also they also stand against his man's kingdom. So Esau is specifically against the prophets. But he's trying to group everybody together so that he pretty much can come up against him.
Con.
Anybody that has anything to do with against being against his enterprise.
That's right. Just like what's his name? Uh, Alex Jones names his show, right? Infowars. This is exactly what it is. This is a war on information, a war on the truth. Primarily first and foremost. So what Esau is trying to do, he's trying to control the narrative. He's trying to control, what's being said, what's being pushed out there. But in order to get control of that, he has to create a chaos. He has to create mass confusion and have people believe that this is a problem that needs to be fixed. And once he gets control of that situation, you know, that's going to be, again, like we were going into the famine of the word, right? Where Esau is going to have full dictatorship of what the narrative is and what's being said and what people are hearing. But this is Isaiah 29 and 21. It says that make actually I'm gonna start off at 20. It says, for the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off, that make a man an offender for a word, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gates, and to turn aside the just for a thing of naught. That's exactly what Esau, with his system, with his new legislation and new laws that he's trying to put in, he's going to do this. He's doing it now. If you say anything contrary, like just for example, the C-19 thing, right? You were pretty much slandered. You'll be called all kinds of things, man. A murderer, a killer, all kinds of shit, just for bringing out certain points, right? Certain points to light, or bringing out some information that to them that they're trying to hide, right? Information that could be that potentially true, but they don't want that out there because again, it sways from their narrative. But let me see. Do you have anything out?
Uh,
Gone. I want to get this next one because leading up to this, again, them bringing defamation upon the church, defamation on this word, on the truth. They're going to try to paint a certain narrative to amongst brothers, paint us as being uh, like that dude Sam that comes up to our camp, right? He calls us what, a black KKK.
mhm.
They're putting certain narratives on us to paint us in that bad light, which is going to end up coming on the persecution of the prophets as well, not just against the word. Let me see. Let me get this real quick. Salakia. Trying to look this up. Let me get this. Ephesians 6 and 12. It says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but principalities, against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Because this is what we're coming up against. Esau, right? The wicked of this world. And we're resisting them through what? The spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, by relying on truth. That's pretty much our defense against Esau and his lies and his bullshit, right? We understand that, hey, this thing is going to take place. Like the scripture says, we're not ignorant of his devices. You we understand through the scriptures that Esau is ultimately prophecy is going to come to pass, and we know that the Most High is going to make it to where Esau's going to do these things, right? The word hasn't been wrong yet, so we know, and it ain't going to be wrong. The word is going to come and it's going to be fulfilled. And Esau being that devil, we understand that he's going to try to enact this war amongst the saints, right? Because that's what Esau does. What does Esau do before he goes and infiltrates a certain nation? It's the same game plan over and over again. He likes to infect the area with propaganda, right? Change the narrative of what's going on. Here you got the prophets out here, telling you what's going on, telling you the truth, who we are, et cetera, et cetera. And yet, then now you got Esau who's going who fears, Jake's waking up, so they're going to try to enact that war. Change the narrative of the story. Get the prophets out the way. Push their propaganda. That's exactly what's going to take place, and that's what we see taking place. Khan, do you have anything out?
Was you gonna go back to the article?
Which one do you want me to pull up? The conspiracy
The
theorist one?
last one.
Come on, I can pull it up. I'm gonna read the title again. It says, "Sea theorists threaten mainstream media," says Canadian PM. It says, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Wednesday blamed social media for preventing major news outlets from shaping public opinion the way they used to. The Liberal Party leader took his message to the conservative stronghold of Alberta, sitting down with radio host Ryan uh, Jesperson for an exclusive 30-minute interview on his Real Talk podcast. It says there is out there a deliberate undermining of the mainstream media, Trudeau said, and answering a question toward the end of the interview, there are the sea theorists. There are the social media drivers who are trying to do everything they can to keep people in their little filter bubbles, to prevent people from actually agreeing on a common set of facts.
All right, what's those common facts? It's the facts of what Esau wants everybody to believe, because Esau set up different puppet leaders to go in and to run these countries. So he have an Edomite, pretty much. It looks like another nation, running that country, and then also he spread himself amongst the people. Could the scripture say, "I've seen the wicked in great power, and spread himself like a green bay tree," roughly paraphrasing. And then those that don't want to get along with the program, he'll send in, his like the Green Berets
Right.
to pretty much get civic participation. They pretty much overthrow government. So the ones that don't like to do, I'm not sure if they sent somebody in there for that, but I believe I know they touched him. There was a president or something in like Haiti. He wasn't trying to,
Mhm.
or like Ghana. Pretty much, it wasn't trying to get the juice. So pretty much Esau sent his dogs in there to do what they do, but pretty much it's sending in those different groups in order to overthrow the different governmental officials and stuff like that, to get civic participation because we in the time of the end, and pretty much, and they build back better or what was another one? Pretty much their NWO. They need
Mhm.
civic participation, so that's essentially what they're saying. They need civic participation in the mainstream media. They need less so-called misinformation. You
Mhm.
know, they want less of the truth out there. They want more witchcraft.
Mhm.
More of their own agenda.
Mhm. That's right, because a lot of people are trying to see, man, that mainstream media is a lot of bullshit, man. They're not giving you the real news. So a lot of people are seeking forward a lot of these alternative news stations, alternative media, right? What they call them? Uh,
Like Al Jazeera.
independent journalists, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. Like Al Jazeera, right? They're seeking of all these different mainstream media sources in order for them to get their news because they see that mainstream media ain't it. Mainstream media
Right.
is just a bunch of lies, a bunch of bullshit, a bunch of really just acting. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and there ain't a lot of information coming out. So now they feel like this is a problem. Now they feel like this is a solution that needs to be well, this is a problem that needs to be fixed, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's too much information going out there. We need to get control on this information, you know. But this is all a big ploy in order to control the information in general on the internet, so that way they can stop the flow of the truth being pushed out there, so they can have control of the narrative, right? They can point out who are pretty much America's enemies by doing that. Who's against America? Who's against uh, what they got planned in the future? Because if they like you're saying, like even the C hip, right? The C hip, a lot of these mainstream people, they call, if you believe in the C hip, they'll call you a sea theorist.
Mm-hmm.
If you believe in chariots, they're gonna call you a bug out or some other shit. Like these are some things that they push out here. Like you mentioned earlier, they give you certain buzzwords or they label you a certain way to pretty much demonize you and to make fun of you.
Mm-hmm.
This is another way, another tactic they use in order to sway. the opinion of the people to their side.
Right.
Uh, Let me see. I'm gonna read a little bit more. It says uh, when they were our only sources of news. Oh wait, right here. Let me read this again. It says there are sea theorists, there are there are the social media drivers who are trying to do everything they can to keep people in their little filter bubbles to prevent people from actually agreeing on a common set of facts. The way CBC and CTV, when they were the only sources of news. Uh, so of course, when they were the only sources of news, of course, people are gonna believe what they got to say.
Mm-hmm.
But now that more and more people are starting to come out with the information, you know, hey, uh, like the scripture says, in the end days, how's that go? In the last days, it shall run to and fro, and
Mm-hmm.
knowledge shall be increased.
Right.
Hey, knowledge is increasing, and on every aspect of life. Even amongst the lies that Esau purports, the truth is coming out. More information is coming out.
And
People are trying. It's easy to access it. What are you gonna say, Ak?
we was also saying, talking with priest, pretty much, it was like some type of law or a bill or something being passed to where they wasn't gonna report on like the different, like if a cop was to go and um, like delete somebody, they wasn't gonna put it on the news no more. If they was on like paid leave
Mm,
from that, they're not gonna put it on the news no more. So they're taking things like that off of the air,
mm-hmm,
so leading forth to a famine of the word. It's not going to be, if they're not putting those things on the news, people going to be like out of the loop. It's going to cause some more incontinency, more
mm-hmm.
deaths, and less people being informed. If everybody's not informed, it's going to lead forth to more confusion going into the scriptures where it says there shall be sword, famine, and great confusion, roughly paraphrasing.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Because then the stats of certain things is not going to be recorded, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you mentioned, cops and all that stuff. When they deleting some people, you know, those stats of whatever cities, whatever towns that they're in, is going to be highly under deflated,
Mm-hmm.
or it's going to be highly deflated,
Yep.
right? So those numbers that should be at a certain rate, we're gonna see, you ain't gonna have access to it. You ain't gonna have the right the truth pretty much. But it says when they were the only sources of news used to project across the country at least a common understanding of things. Earlier this month, Trudeau denounced the move by Bell Media to lay off many of its local journalists and sell 45 of its 103 regional radio stations, arguing that local journalism holds Canadian democracy together. Uh, there are massive changes that need to happen in our media landscape, and the government can try and create conditions and incentives for it to happen, he told Jefferson's on Wednesday. We're putting money towards independent media, Trudeau added, having argued a moment earlier that such overt funding would compromise news outlets as mouthpieces of the government. So I was looking into this thing that Canada has with the news stations, right? It's pretty much an agreement that you whatever you say pretty much has to be uh how you say uh, approved by Canada or approved by the government in order for you to say it on the news.
Mm-hmm.
So this is again more control, and this is happening in Canada. So it's a neighbor of America. So let's believe it can't happen here in America. You know, Canada is also a West leading country or a westernized country. So you know, this is the plan of the top elite. To control. The narrative to control, pretty much control. That's pretty much all it is about. Esau trying to be like God, have ultimate dominion over the earth. You know, which is another thing that's going to lead up to the MOTB being the ultimate form of control, knowing where you're at, knowing what you think, you know, giving you access to the information that he wants you to have access to, you know. But yeah, you got anything? You have anything,
Wow.
So that's pretty much it. That's all I had. I pray this lesson was edifying. We're going to go ahead and close it out by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachaha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught us this truth and ruled well. Peace and blessings unto the hopeful elect, pushing his word throughout the four corners of the earth in truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Till the next time, we're going to say Shalom.
Shalom.